Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido.
We're coming at you with an 80s classic, the old Crocodile Dundee with good old Paul Hogan in here. One of those films that I just always remember kind of watching as like a kid growing up. It fits in that similar category as like Romancing the Stone. You know, those kind of movies that are like partially adventure, comedy, romance. Yeah, like they're like those movies. Like it's a great couples movie. You can go to the cinema and both the lady and the man are both happy to be there. It's not just like, you know, it's not just like the guy dragging his wife to Commando or something like that, or vice versa. It could go somewhere else. You know, it could be. I was trying to think of there's that one, Love Floats. That one, like
I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah, just one of those goofy ones that generally, you know, probably wouldn't be the other way around. But it's funny, like once in a blue moon, they'll make those kind of couple movies again. Like there was that one had Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock, and Brad Pitt in it.
I got to stop you right there because I had to look up this Hope Floats.
Hope Floats. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And I don't know. Just as soon as I saw it directed by Forrest Whitaker, I was like, of course, this movie's called Hope Floats. Like, it sounds like a movie title he'd think up. I'm gonna be real honest. I'm gonna be real honest. I can't stand Forrest Whitaker, and I can't stand the crap that he's in. The only thing I think that I've seen that I really like him in is freaking Rogue One. And then he's also in this movie called Vantage Point, which is a really good movie, but his character sucks in that too. I don't like his acting. I think he's so underwhelming and very predictable. And I think he sucks. I think I could act better, but it makes me mad. Like I get really irritated as soon as I see him come on screen. I don't like that guy. He might be a super nice dude. I don't know.
But yeah, he probably is. Have you ever seen him in Out of the Furnace?
No.
That movie's amazing. It stars Christian Bale and Casey Affleck, but Forrest Whitaker plays like I want to say he's like the town sheriff in there. And there's a part where like because fucking Christian Bale goes to jail at one point for drunk driving and kills somebody accidentally, but it's funny. I don't know. It's one of those movies where like it's like some people would watch and be like, "What was funny about that movie?" But there's a lot of really funny stuff in it. But there's a part where like.
It's kind of like World's Best Dad or whatever with Robin Williams.
Yes. Oh, that's a Bobcat Goldthwait movie, yeah.
That movie, I started describing that movie to somebody that I used to work with. I'm like, dude, I just watched this movie last night. It was so funny. And I'm like, yeah, dude, this dude, he's got a terrible teenage kid and he beats off and chokes himself at the same time. And then he kills himself and his dad, and he's like, I'm like, and it's hilarious. And he's like, Dave, I think your version of funny and my version of funny are two different funny.
Yeah. You're like, dude, you gonna see Rob Williams full on naked in the movie too. I never thought I was gonna see that before.
Anyway.
That was like the one time I remember there was like when Gran Torino came out and there was like some girl or whatever and she was talking about, she's like, oh, I went and saw Gran Torino last night. And I just go out there and go, wasn't that the funniest movie you've ever seen? And she looks at me with the most sternest straight face and just goes, what was funny about that movie? And then all I had to be was like, well, I guess you just didn't get it then, like, you know. That was literally a movie where, like, you know, when they say that word, rolling on the floor laughing, that was pretty much like what I felt like was going on when I was watching that movie in the cinema.
Yeah, for sure. It's freaking hilarious, man. And it's not like, I think people always get the wrong idea about funny. People get the wrong idea about comedy and what jokes are. I mean, you think of like, go back in time, you know, think about fools, you know, village idiots, jesters, like they were making mockery of things, you know, like so that you could go, ha, yeah, okay, next one. You know what I mean? Like, yep. And I think comedy has been neutered over time, and thankfully there's a lot of people that keep it alive in certain respects, but yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's outrageous. It's funny because you know that crap exists, and they're making fun of it.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I mean,
Well, I don't think people understand like how comedy pretty much works in the brain. Is that it's the real simple thing is that if you see something that shouldn't be, that's what makes things funny. Because you expect something to go from like A to B, but if it goes from A to J, then it's like that's what's funny about it. You know, so if somebody says something off the wall, that's why it's funny because you don't expect anybody to say that. But since they kind of say that, it's hilarious.
That's why Homer Simpson's always laughing when something stupid happens.
Yeah, because he gets it.
Exactly. If there's one thing he gets.
He gets it. Well, that was like, dude, we watched that movie, The Smashing Machine, recently, the Rock one.
How was that?
Dude, I thought it was super good. I liked it a lot.
I heard terrible things. But
See, dude, but I kid you not, dude, that movie was hilarious. Dude, like, I remember, I mean, and let me rephrase that. We were the only ones busting up in the theater. Nobody else, out of the other 6 people that were in there, they were completely stone-faced the whole time. But there was a part where maybe because I felt like this just like, I got it, like, he wakes up and like his wife's like making a protein shake for him and whatnot, puts it in the blender, doing it real nice and everything like that. And he goes to have a sip of it and he goes, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I switched the whole milk." She's like, "Is this skim milk?" She's like, yeah, it's skim milk. And he just goes, "Don't worry about it. I'll just remake it." He just pours it out in the sink. I felt like I just died laughing. Like he could have just drank a glass of whole milk along with it. Like he didn't need to do that, but the fact that he does it, but it's got a lot of great bits in it like that. Yeah, where he's just so serious about it. Like, but at the same time, it's like The Rock is really like playing it really well. I feel that's like the best movie The Rock's done since maybe like Faster or something like that. Because it's finally like he kind of broke out of like for the longest time he's just been sort of playing The Rock. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. But it's the easy. You just walk in, you show up, you be yourself, you smile, you do all that. This one, I feel like he's straight up acting.
My 2 favorite roles of The Rock. I haven't seen this obviously, but the 2 best movies I've seen with him in it have got to be Walking Tall.
That's a good one.
Because have
you ever seen the original Walking Tall though? At the same time,
no, I haven't.
The original one's really dark and brutal and so on like that, and it's like 70s, so it's like there's a lot more like tragedy in it. And then I remember because I looked up the true story, and it's like all that stuff was kind of like real. It was like, oh, geez, like it's like don't get me wrong, I like the Rock one as well too, but the Rock one makes it out be like it's more like it's a fun like almost like it's taking back our town kind of story.
Yeah. Huh. I'm gonna have to check that out then. But that one. Pain and Gain, and
Pain and Gain is extremely good. That might be the best Michael Bay movie out there too.
Even though that movie is false on a lot of accounts, I don't care. It's still a great movie. And and then my favorite comedy with him is probably Central Intelligence.
That's actually a pretty good one too.
But and after that, a lot of things I started watching. I mean, even before that, like the Fast movies and stuff. I'm like, man, you're playing the same guy over and over and over. Like, and I didn't see Black Adam, so I have no comment on that.
He's good in that one. Have you ever seen Faster though?
No.
So not to be it has nothing to do with Fast and the Furious. It's he did it in like 2007 or 8 or something like that, maybe 9. And it's pretty much like a modern day Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So The Rock is the good, Billy Bob Thornton is the ugly, and he's the police officer. And then there's another guy who's pretty much the bad, and he's like a hitman type thing. And it goes back and forth, and it plays out, just like Western style with like real quick to the point action and so on. It's super good. I kid you not. I think it's an amazing movie.
I have to check that one out. Yeah, we actually went out and saw the latest Conjuring my expectations were met, as in I didn't think it was that great. All I wanted was a few like cheap thrills, and I got them. But otherwise, I thought it was a pretty weak movie.
But
because I don't expect much from modern day horror films.
No, horror movies are kind of, not saying there can't be, but like that's the one of the genres that got kind of, I don't know. Very rarely do I find, like once in a blue moon there'll be something I really enjoy, but most of the time I'm like, I could stick to the 70s and 80s and be totally fine,
Yeah. But anyway.
But Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee. We got into all this because of the rom-com thing, and then Forrest Whitaker, that bastard. See, he did it again.
He's not even in Crocodile Dundee.
But no, this is like this has to be one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's only been reinforced after watching it the other day. It is kind of a rom-com, but it's more than that, and it's more than just an action movie. Well, it's not exactly an action movie. Kind of an adventure movie in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Adventure in two sides of the coin there. Adventure in where you really have adventures, and then adventure in the city. I don't know how many movies were done kind of like that up until this point. The only thing I could think of would be Coming to America, but that's not exactly the same thing either.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the idea of somebody has no idea what a big city's like coming to the U.S. It also kind of reminded me of, I bet Jungle to Jungle had some inspiration from this movie.
Oh yeah. Well, really, I'll say like the true one, I guess, is Tarzan, but just it plays out differently in the old school Tarzan because like when Jane finds Tarzan stuff and then she's like, "Hey, come back to England. You're gonna like it here." And of course,
yeah, right.
like it's not good at all for him and so on, and he misses the jungle. So I mean, like that's the original one there. Like, have you ever seen that Greystroke? I know we're getting so like off track, but there's a movie called Greystroke, and it's got the dude from Highlander in it plays Tarzan. Super good. And like. It's about probably, Christopher Lambert. It's probably about the same, give or take, 84 to 86, somewhere around the same time as Crocodile Dundee. I think it's one of the best. It's super like kind of like, there's a lot of tragedy in that movie too, where just like constant tragedy. Things will not work out for our Tarzan, but he will keep trying and persevering. But I thought it was powerful. I liked it a lot. But yeah, no, that's the story you get here. Is you get Crocodile Dundee, who is the guy who is, in his element, in the bush down in Australia and so on like that. He's in a sense, it's like an old school cowboy, I look at it like this is Australia's kind of version of cowboys. They're just out there, working the lands, exploring, hanging out, sleeping under the stars, all that kind of stuff. And I think even especially in like the 80s, everybody's gotten so cityified and so on like that. And even the West gets farther and farther away for the U.S. And I know this movie was made to be like, they were trying to make a real big hit for Australia, which I was like, didn't you just have Mad Max 2? Maybe that wasn't the hit they were looking for. I thought the Road Warrior, that was kind of a big one. They're like, yeah, but we don't want to represent Australia as maybe being like, it's just a wasteland and
a bunch of criminals.
Yeah. Even though I mean we kind of are. That's sort of what England is. They just shipped all their criminals, over here back in the day.
Their destiny. That's all. Yeah. No, I got nothing bad to say about this movie. I got no constructive criticism. I only have praise, and especially I don't think they could have chosen a better actor. Like, I think this movie would have been really weird if Mel Gibson was doing it. If he was the crocodile, just this insane guy who like in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, Zach.
Just like going nuts. He's on. What's his name in Lethal Weapon? Not Briggs or
Briggs.
Briggs.
With an R, yeah.
Just imagine if Riggs is like the Australian Wolverine, kind of. Like,
yeah.
But anyway, no, I don't think they could have chosen a better actor to portray Mick Dundee. And also, like, I remember watching this when I was young, and I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to grow up and be Crocodile Dundee, like, because he's kind of larger than life, super charming. Probably has to watch out who he woos, because I'm sure he could win the heart of a woman with daddy issues just as easily as any other woman. Because he's super, like, he's a dad, like, in personality. He's like that fun dad or uncle or whatever, but super capable, like, can take care of himself, can survive in the woods, can clearly survive in the city too. And he's super funny and really genuine too. Like, I am straight, by the way, but I know I should probably preface that because I'm just giving him so much praise here. Like, he's the best. But no, like, seriously, I remember watching this, I'm like, oh, that's the guy I want to be. Yeah. And then, of course, I realized I'm short,
not Australian.
American. It's just not going to happen. But no, it's It's so great. So that you got the rom-com element, you got that a little stint of adventure because, the premise is this journalist, the female protagonist of the film, his opposite, she hears about this guy who, like, it's all these tall tales. Once again, something that, like the if you ever go to a Bass Pro, right above their door, it says it perfect, welcome fishermen, hunters, and all other various liars, or something like that. Like that's the kind of guy that Mick is a little bit, and really, it's not so much him; it's everyone else that builds up his reputation for him.
Yeah, they make him like a Paul Bunyan, like tall
exactly,
tale.
Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed, like all these different folklore heroes, it's so great. And of course, she goes down to Australia to meet with this guy because she hears about this guy who had his leg bitten off by an alligator, or crocodile, and crawls away, and they don't know where he's at, and he shows back up, and whatever, blah blah blah. And of course, when he rolls into the bar, he does have a crocodile in his arms, which is great, and he's just super jovial and super fun guy. People are making jokes. He's making jokes back. People are insulting him. He's knocking them out. And then she sees, oh, well, his leg is clearly still there. He's got a chunk out of it, but it's like, you can see, oh, this is really just a big old tall tale, but it's not as tall as you would think, as you come to find out in the movie, because she goes, hangs out with him in the outback. She almost gets eaten. He saves her. There's that hilarious section where one of the indigenous dudes comes up and scares him in the middle of the night. And meanwhile, like, she's sitting next to him all the time, and just like so nonchalantly, he's grabbing animals that are just like sneaking up, and he's like, oh yeah, snap the head, throw it. She's like, oh my God, what is? He's like, oh yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, he just freely kills animals like that.
Oh yeah,
left it.
Oh, and that kangaroo scene, dude. So there's so much about this movie that I'm not going to be making any of that today.
Well, that's the thing. That's the weird thing, is because there is a version out there. I remember when the 4K came out. I remember there being a lot of controversy about it, and I think they call it the Encore Edition. And so what that was is that they went in and they cut out like a handful of minutes out of the movie to try to make it feel more appealing to modern day audiences. And there was a lot of backlash because, first and foremost, I feel you should never mess with art. Like, especially when it's a different time. At the most, even though I don't really like these, but I feel like this is a good middle ground, is put up just a disclaimer at the beginning. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those still kind of feel insulting. I know they do them on like the old Disney movies and so on like that. But like if anything, do that.
Are so fragile, so they have to,
they have to put those in there, But even video games now. I think Metal Gear Solid 3, the remake one, says that at the beginning, like, watch out, it's 60s, But
the ass word.
Yeah, but so there's some stuff they had to cut out of this one here, and I want to say I'm pretty sure, because we watched it both on Amazon Prime. Yeah, that version's not messed up. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the same. If there's any,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, all those main scenes that I was looking for, I did not see them taken out, and they're really not bad. Like, I don't see what it is, because really it's just, once again, maybe we'll get to those when we get kind of farther into it, because that happens in the New York scene. Is you literally just have a guy who's like a fish out of water, and all he's doing is experimenting in this world that he's at. So he's not really doing anything offensive. It's just like, so that's why I think just being himself. I try to think about why they might have done that. There is one thing that, like, apparently in England, this is the biggest movie or the most played movie on Christmas. So where, in the U.S. we have like 24 hours of A Christmas Story. In England, they probably have 24 hours of Crocodile Dundee on BBC.
It's a Wonderful Life. Miracle on 34th Street. That one I haven't seen. It's a Wonderful Life, I think, is so boring and lame. It's
like Jimmy Stewart, but Clarence.
Yeah, it's Scrooge, but not.
Yeah, but like, Jimmy Stewart style.
the same thing. And my mother used to always want to watch that, like more than once. I'm like, this movie sucks. Like I know you like it a lot, and I'll give you respect for that. But I mean, it's just, there's better Christmas movies. Holy crap!
You wanted to know a fun little like factoid of the danger zone of that movie is that all that snow in the movie that they have, everything where is asbestos.
Yeah,
because that's what they used to use for fake snow back in the day. You know, it's safe. You know, breathe it in, kids.
Oh yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. So just rampant cancer flying free. Get that mesothelioma.
Gosh, that's crazy. That's interesting. I had no idea that this is so popular on Christmas. I thought for sure Die Hard was going to be the most popular non-Christmas movie. I think it's hilarious that it's such a huge debate on whether or not that is a Christmas movie.
Well, the whole movie takes place during Christmas in Die Hard. The weird thing about Crocodile Dundee is there's no Christmas element. Yeah, that's what I don't really get. Well, it must be it's an English thing, I guess. Maybe they don't want to think about Christmas. So like, let's throw on Crocodile Dundee. It like makes you think of summertime.
Yeah. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I'm sure what was really controversial with, well, see, it's one of those things. What is controversial is pretty subjective, right? Like, yes. Except for the things that are clearly black and white. But I think Crocodile Dundee has a lot of subjective controversy. For example, when he gets out of a limousine and he asks the driver, who I think is the guy from Die Hard. I think he's the cop.
Yeah, I think he is too. Yeah. The guy on the line that John McClane's talking to.
Yeah.
Who shot a kid.
Yeah. I think he. Oh yeah. So anyway, he gets out and he thanks him for the ride and he asks him what tribe he's from, and he's like, tribe? I'm not from no tribe. And he's like, well, you're black, aren't you? You know. And the last time I checked. And then what's hilarious to me though is I'm pretty sure his reaction would have been just like anybody else's reaction, like in real life. He just kind of like, okay, and laughs it off and keeps doing his job. Once again, a time when people weren't as fragile. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could just kind of say things.
Pretty obvious that this dude is not from the U.S. Number one, not from civilization. Number two.
Yeah, he's wearing a snakeskin like jacket,
and carrying around a knife that big.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure he's off his rocker. Well, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
But that, and then the the interaction. This is hilarious. And this reminded me. My wife and I both were like, "Oh, so he must know." He checks to see if people are women, just like Goku does.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought too. He does the pat test.
Hey, but yeah, when he checked that, I love that scene, dude, because he for one, what I really like about that scene is before that even happens, he gets in the cab. Well, he's already in the cab with the Italian guy. The Italian is like the Robert De Niro from Wish.
The cab driver.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, oh, I need a beer here. I need a drink. Take me to go get a drink. And he's like, oh yeah, let's go. Because he invites him to go, and they both go and go to this dive bar, which looked like a lot of fun. And but Mick, of course, this guy could be the life of the party anywhere he goes, right? And so of course everybody's loving him. And there's this hooker there. I think is a hooker, maybe not. I don't know. But
there's hookers outside.
But it's a dude. It's a
transvestite.
Dude's in drag, and which I might add, not the worst I've ever seen.
It's a good looking one.
That's right, and it's so good that Mick doesn't even know it's a dude. And of course, people are laughing about it. And finally, the cab driver's like, "I've been trying to tell you, it's a dude. It's a dude. I've been trying to tell you all night." And he's like, "No way." And he pulls the Goku, just goes up to him, grabs his dick, and then he's, what? And he's like, "That's a guy." You all knew the whole night, you bastards.
And I think that's the biggest scene that's cut out, is that scene right there and that encore cut. For some reason, that's the most controversial thing. But I don't really, when I look at that, I go, it's not really bad. He's not insulting him.
No,
no, there's literally, it's just, he's surprised. He's never seen this before. That's all it is. The only thing maybe is the cab driver, because the one cab driver goes, "Hey, he's a fucking fag." Like that part might be the one part nowadays.
He's a fag.
But look at him. He's got the fucking build hat flipped up and everything like that. He's like 15 beers deep in by this point. It's New York. Like, I feel like that's that weird one where, like, I know in California that word gets offensive nowadays, but I feel everybody back east still says it like it's yesterday.
Probably.
So I don't feel like that's really too far out of the question. And once again, nobody's really being insulting. It's not like they're like, "Oh, let's go burn him in the street," or anything. It's like, no. They just he just notices it. He notices it. That's it. That's all it is.
The one thing I forgot about too. So before she comes back to New York and brings Mick with her, man, I already forgot her name.
Oh, well, it's Linda is the actress, Linda Kozlowski, but what the hell's her name? It's Sue.
Sue, yeah. So Sue, of course, has to go back home, finish her story, whatever, and she brings Mick with her, and probably because she's just like captivated by him. It's not explicit, and it doesn't say whether or not it happens. I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past the two of them to have screwed while they were in Australia, because it shows them making out.
They find that cool water hole,
exactly,
that billabong.
He rescues her from the croc. He shows her the rest of the way to where they're going, and blah blah blah. He shows her the boat that got messed up by the croc that bit him. Yada yada. They have an intimate moment. So we don't know that they screwed, but doesn't matter. Not really. That said, intimate moment nonetheless. And we already know at this point that she's got a boyfriend. And one thing I was thinking, I don't think she brings that up at all to Mick the whole time. No.
Which is really the fucked up thing, because she doesn't tell him at all, and then she's like, "Hey, you want to come to New York?" And in his mind, he's like, "Yeah, sure, fuck it, yeah, this girl's into me, I mean, let's do that, that'll be fun." Well, and then it's
I just that was one of the things about the film that I'm like, I love how she totally like neglects to say anything about this. She got a boyfriend back home. She makes out with Mick, and then asks him to come home with her. And then another kind of silly thing is, I don't quite know if this is as messed up as maybe she just lives in a hookup culture, maybe, because she's clearly a partier. You know what I mean? Like, so she goes out, she takes him to a party where there's a lot of crap going on. Another one of my favorite scenes, where it's probably one of those parties. Again, this is New York, right? So there's like got to be artists, rich people, fucking probably designers, fashion designer, that kind of crowd, the artsy crowd. And of course, there's another drag queen who's dressed up kind of reminiscent of like what's her name, Audrey Hepburn or something. You know what I mean? And once again,
Breakfast at Tiffany's style.
Yes, yeah, that's what I mean. Once again, Mick, goes up and grabs his dick. It's like.
And I like it. She goes, "Don't worry," or somebody says, "Don't worry, he's from Australia." And he's like, "Oh, I gotta go down there sometime." See, and once again, I don't think any of that's offensive. I think it's just like everybody's having fun, know.
The other part that I thought was just hilarious was how nonchalant she was, and just like cool with the fact that there's a dude getting like blasted off cocaine in this other room, and because Mick, of course, he thinks he's sick. And he's trying to help him out, and he ruins like hundreds of dollars of cocaine. He's like, "Here, this will help you out," and goes through this whole process. And she's like, "Yeah, that was like $200 worth of cocaine," and he's like, "Excuse me," he's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "Coke. You get a buzz." And I'm thinking like, a buzz.
Yeah.
You get a buzz. Which sure, a buzz. Let's call it a buzz.
Yeah, it's like a Jolt Cola.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm thinking like maybe it's not so much like she's in this. Well, I think it's very clear that she's not as enveloped in this relationship as her boyfriend. He is thinking a lot more about it than she is. That said, when he's being a super dick at the dinner that they were supposed to be having, hilarious, by the way, when Mick knocks him out. They're bringing him home, and she says like, "Oh, I love him very much. He's very caring, and I love him so much." And then, continues to go on these dates with Mick.
Yeah. And then even Mick's like, because that's the whole reason why he goes to that bar in the first place with the taxi cab driver, and they meet the transvestite, is because it's like that's where he didn't know this. He came all the way to New York, came all the way across, pretty much halfway across the world, plus because it's from Australia. And then he's kind of realized like, oh shit, she's got a boyfriend. I can't remember if that's even the scene where she gets proposed to, even too. Beforehand. After that one, he after she gets proposed to, he leaves, takes the knife out, and then like he drops the limo guy. He drops him off near some random alley, and he thinks he sees Simone, and then like it goes from there. Like he gets in the fight, the limo driver saves him, takes him back to the hotel, goes in the basically just sleeps the rest of the night, and then the next morning he goes off to go explore. Yeah, he gets to do the walkabout.
Yeah, and then that's where it was almost the movie's end there. But that was all where I think that was like pretty much his like draw. Like, all right, well I'm out of here. Like I'm not doing this. But it's. I told my wife when we were watching that right before he goes inside the mansion with her and him to meet her dad and whatnot. That's where he gets out of the limo. They all do, and she's like, "Oh, my dad's dogs." Like, "Come on, Mick, hurry!" And he's just like, "Why?" And those Rottweilers come running up, and he does that trick with his fingers.
Yeah, he does like the hang loose type thing.
Yeah, and the dogs just like calm down, and he makes friends with them. And I'm like, I would be like, if I was this woman's dad, I'd be like, if you don't marry him, I will. This dude rocks. But it's one of those things. And then I think probably one of the most iconic scenes. This is before this one, of course. Is I think it was when that night where they went to that party or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but they're leaving from somewhere, and the dude dressed up like Michael Jackson from Thriller walks up to him and asks him for, "Hey buddy, you got a light?" And he's like, "Yeah, here you go." And he's like, "Your wallet." And he pulls out a switchblade, and she's like freaking out, right? They're like, "Oh, Mick, give it to him. He's got a knife." And that's not a knife. It's a knife.
A knife.
This giant, Pet Saiga.
Yeah, his fucking cutlass.
And then what I thought was hilarious, and when I was young, I didn't quite understand. Now, of course, it just is evidence that it's a very, very sharp knife. It just looks like he barely like grazes the guy's jacket, and it's just like rips to shreds, scares the shit out of him. He runs away, and then that's that part where even if there's more to come with her and the other guy, like they're gonna end up together, which is where he says like, "Are you all right?" And she's like, "I'm always all right with you, Dundee or Mick or whatever the fuck she said." I think it was Dundee or whatever. But it's just like, okay, you know where it's going, so
yep.
you know that there's gonna be some strange some minor conflict for the climax, and then a smooth resolution. But I
want to go back to that scene really quick, because apparently when I was reading up on some stuff, apparently that scene's also slightly edited in that censored version too. So instead, they don't have Mick actually cut the guy's jacket up. They have him just brandish the knife, and then the guy runs away. Because they want, like, in a weird way, somebody thought, like, well, we don't want him to, like, actually be, inciting any violence. I'm like, he's punched out, like, 3 people beforehand. Like, cutting some dude's jacket's the least of the worries. Dude, he's killed a bunch of animals. Nobody cares about that.
He doesn't want him to incite violence. It's like, well, what is the guy who's trying to mug him doing, for God's sake?
Yeah, that's what I mean, is that encore cut. I think because if you look on Amazon now, you can't even buy that movie unless you buy it used. Like, so I think they pulled that real fast. I think the backlash got to them because it was just filled with negative 1-star reviews, like, because people were just pissed.
Yeah,
which, granted, if you paid $35 for this movie and you realized it was cut, I'd be pretty pissed.
Oh
too.
Yeah, I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Like, this not. I don't want this TBS version. Give me the full deal.
Yeah. This PBS.
Yeah. Yeah.
That freaking. I think in my opinion, if I was a studio that was going to have to choose a scene to cut in this whole movie, I probably would have cut. Like, if I was forced to cut something, I probably would have cut the kangaroo scene. And not because I don't like it. I think it's hilarious what he did, and the fact that he kind of gave a street justice to those guys. But I think it makes the most amount of sense that if I had to choose one scene to cut, it had been that, because holy crap. I don't know when PETA became a thing, but I'm sure they would have jumped all over that. You know, these kangaroos running away, hopping away, trying to escape the gunfire. And these dudes in Toyota Hiluxes with, shooting them with different rifles and whatnot. I'm like, holy crap, man. Like, I didn't remember that part in the movie. And
they kill a bunch of kangaroos in those.
I only remember there being one dead, but I mean, don't surprise me if they killed multiple. But yeah, I'm just like, holy crap, man, I can't believe that's in this. And then of course I love though how he she's like, aren't you gonna do something? He's like, I'm not doing nothing illegal. And I'm only thinking like, damn.
Australia.
But I love that though, how because it's like a joke that's been around for decades, right? About deer being able to shoot back at hunters. And the just that scene where he puts that rifle in the kangaroos, makes it look like he's got a rifle, and just shooting back at him, destroys that guy's rifle. I'm surprised he didn't die, to be honest. But rom-com / adventure, blah blah blah. But
yes.
It was such a great scene ultimately. But that would be the one that I think I would have to say goodbye to.
Yeah, because that scene to me feels the most, like, I guess would be the danger scene nowadays for some people.
Does.
It could be a trigger warning scene.
Yeah, because everything else is really tame. It's slightly offensive, sure, to some people.
It's a comedy.
They can't accept the fact that it's a comedy, but even then it's like, I just can't see anything else being that offensive. I guess the only other thing that I guess could be, and once again, this would be a PETA thing, is where he just like freaking like God of War's that crocodile.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He does good. Well, it's weird because like earlier in that movie too, those like kangaroo poachers literally give him shit for killing a crocodile.
And then they're out there doing it.
Yeah, then they're out there blasting away kangaroos like, fucking like, a couple, 16 beers deep,
Yeah,
it's a weird one. But it's a fun one. You know how Aborigines used to hunt kangaroos back in the day, and they probably still do today if they need to. And so what you do is you just continuously keep chasing down a kangaroo, because a kangaroo can only run for so long, but a human can run for pretty much almost as long as it possibly can. And at a certain point, the kangaroo won't be able to run any farther. It will get terrible cramps. It will just lay down on the ground, and then they'll come over and club it to death.
Jeez.
And this can work on other animals too. So if you ever need to hunt something and you got nothing, just keep chasing it. It will eventually give out.
Well, it kind of makes sense because they don't really run; they hop. So
yeah,
that makes sense that they cramp up like that. Jeez,
they're fast. Well, another example too. It's like if you think about think of a dog. A lot of times a dog will get they can run really fast, but you ever notice that if you go to run really for a long time, a dog will kind of start crapping out way early. Unless it's trained to do that, like it's like a sled dog or something like that. But an average dog, they're really good at running, doing sprints, but they're not the greatest at long distance running.
Yeah, I never thought about that either. Maybe those. I don't think I'd try to outrun a husky.
Yeah, I don't know if I try to outrun it, but maybe at the longest distance.
Thinking about those. Like that Iditarod race with those.
Yeah.
What they call them? Not bobsled. The
dog sled.
Oh, dog sled. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. There's the term dog sled. Yes, you know that. That's what Solid Snake did before he got called back in.
You know, it's funny too. I was thinking about this earlier. I almost feel like Mick Dundee would have maybe been a close match for John Rambo in what do you call it, in First Blood.
Yeah. Yeah, if he was the one hunting him down, you know what I mean? If they called him in to like take care of it, you know?
It's kind of funny, right? But I feel like what would end up happening is Mick just says, you know, something along the lines like, you know, why do you want me to find this guy? What do you do to make? You know, and then of course, like nothing, but he just wants to go make a friend. So he's like, yeah, sure, I'll hunt him down. And then he just hunts him down and he's like, shakes his hand. Mick Dundee from Australia.
That's almost like Craven the Hunter coming in to like bring Spider-Man in. You know, the funny thing too, speaking of even Rambo, though, is like a lot of the ways that this character was created was they wanted to make pretty much an action-like hero that didn't have to kill anybody necessarily. Like they wanted to say like, hey, here's a guy who's very masculine, very like, you know, he can take care of himself. He's got all the action hero qualities, but he's not going to shoot 70 like guys up and go, you know, take over a town or any of that kind of stuff. And it's just to be different in the 80s.
Yeah. You talk Rambo, not Mick.
No, I'm talking Dundee. That's how he was sort of made. So he was made to be like an action hero, but without having to worry about him having to kill a ton of people in the movie.
Oh yeah, I love too. Like he seriously looks like a dude that you're gonna meet like at your neighborhood bar too. Like where he goes in there and you know, like one of the stupid games that they're playing in the bar where they're punching that guy in the gut, trying to get him to knock his beer off his head, and nobody seems to be able to do it. And then Mick's like, all right, I'm going to win my money tonight. And goes to punch him, but he fakes him out. Instead, he gives him a kiss. And the guy's like, what? You know, while the beer's knocked off. So
See, if anything, that guy's probably, because that guy literally is pretty homophobic right there.
Yeah, exactly.
You see that dude's reaction, which really, I'll say this, if you go to any country bar and you did that, that's probably the reaction you're going to get.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love the guy's name, too, Dunk.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've definitely been to a couple bars like that place. Not in Australia, of course, but and there's people just like that. Maybe not as cool as Mick Dundee, but yeah.
I think that's the thing is like Australia always feels kind of like I always call it like it's like America's cousin. You know what I mean? Because you look at it, there's like so much like similarities. I feel like when you see a lot of that stuff there, it just feels like not that much different. The weird thing though is Australia, like nowadays, is one of the most like censored and like weak kind of almost like so many video games and movies like can't be shown there or they have to be cut. Like I don't know what happened to Australia and like I mean there was that school shooting or whatever, and then that I think just let the whatever was in like
you can't have guns there anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like they got like it was like whenever that happened, somebody just got a lot of power and just like really neutered that country all of a sudden. Because it's like one of the things is like when I'm looking up movies and all that kind of stuff, a lot of times they'll be like, hey, this kind of movie's allowed everywhere. And they'll be like, it's banned in Australia, this video game's banned in Australia. I see that so much. And Germany used to be the country that like kind of like sucked to be in if you wanted to enjoy anything outside of that because they have all those weird rules. And those rules actually jack up the rest of the Europe for a sense because sometimes they do that lazy thing, be like, well, you guys, because of Germany, England, you're going to get the neutered version too, and so on like that, which is like, that's got to suck.
I started thinking like, I don't know how heartbroken I'd be if I couldn't play certain video games. I'm not that impressed by a lot of video games anymore. That's why I hate to pay for certain things like Game Pass and PSN, which actually I think I pay for that once a year. But like Game Pass, like I'm not paying for it right now. Just I'm trying to save some money, but $16 a month. If I don't use it at all, I wasted $16. But if I played two different games, for a few hours a day, a couple days a week or whatever, or I'll just say a few hours a week, it paid for itself. And that said, despite the fee per month, it's still worth it, I think, because there's tons of games on there that are at least still fun and not a pain in the butt to download and clear stuff off your system, and you're not gonna, if you didn't like the game, oh well, you've got 500 more to try.
Yeah. You could even stream them too, so you don't even have to download them and just see if you like it first.
Yeah, exactly. And as opposed to going out, paying $80 for a game, you either don't like it or you beat it in 2 days, and it's the retention of that game, like for whatever there is to do, lasts you a couple weeks, and that's it. That's where, unfortunately, a lot of games are going these days. It's just there's not much to do in a lot of them after a week or two, and then either that or you like the game, most people you're playing with stop playing to go play something else, or there's a game that all your buddies are playing, you don't really care for it, but that's all they want to play.
Yeah, so that's why I'm always playing mostly single player games. I feel like I'm the most antisocial person when it comes to that stuff. I almost never play any of those multiplayer.
I'm kind of the same way. I do love playing with people.
I do too, but
sometimes it gets a little tedious. Sometimes you're just like, okay, man, this game kind of, let's move on.
Yeah.
But I just started playing the 2018 God of War.
Oh, nice. I literally own every God of War game, never played any of them except for a little bit of the first one. That's it.
So same. I started playing the very first one, died on Medusa, and never picked it up again. And that was 5-6 months ago. Although I enjoyed it, I thought the story was really cool. So what I did, which I've done with other games, I watched the story so far kind of thing on YouTube. Basically because, I didn't even know how many God of War games there were prior to the 2018 one.
It was 5 of them, I think.
7. So
7 of them?
There was the 1, 2, and 3. And then there was God of War Ascension, prequel. God of War Goes to Sparta, prequel. They just kind of fill in the gaps.
I didn't think there was any more than those ones, though.
But yeah, so then after those first 7...
That's 5. What are the other 2? I
don't remember. I just read that there were 7, but
I think there's only 5 before that God of War. There's probably 7 in total if you include the 2 new ones.
No, I think it was 7 prior to the God of War 2018.
Because there's the 2 PS2 ones, there's the 1 for PS3, then there's the 2 PSP games. I don't think there's anything else beyond that.
Let's see. There's a 1, 2. God of War Betrayal. That was a mobile game.
Okay, we're not going to count that one.
Chains of Olympus. That was on PSP.
Okay, that's Chains of Olympus. Well, there's 2 PSP ones, though.
Ghost of Sparta was PSP.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
So it looks like that. Oh, there was oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, the 7 total would have been including that mobile one, Betrayal. So I don't play that crap, but I guess it had story material, so they include it.
Oh, okay. Well, I see where that's going. Yeah.
But that said, yeah, no, I started playing the first one. I was like, I don't feel like playing this. I don't feel like investing all the time in all this. So I just watched basically the story for all those games up until the 2018 one, and then I started playing that one because there's only 2 of those. And I gotta say though, super cool story, really cool. They incorporate legitimate mythology, stuff that's actual, not made for the video game.
Yeah.
But then also stuff made for the game itself, the story, incorporate that together. And it's a really cool story. The 2018 one, it's I thought it was a complete reboot, but it's a continuation.
Yeah, no, because he's older and everything like that. He's got a boy.
150 years later or something like that. But really cool. Graphics are great. Beautiful. I mean, and then, it's pretty fun. It took me a little getting used to. I've had a few hiccups, but I'm not great. I'm not that good at games anyway. So, but no, it's super fun. And of course, I'm playing it for free on PSN. Yeah. But I can say, though, I think I might, once again, a symptom of being a newer game, I think I might get bored of it. And that's only because it seems to be a kind of formula similar to the Star Wars Jedi games, those last two Jedi games, it's just like a constant rinse and repeat. You know, like jump, grab, run, jump, grab, run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I was hoping for a little more, but that's okay. I'll just play this, and then when I get tired of it, I'll go play Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, you have choices and so on like that, you know.
But yeah, so I that would suck in Australia, but I think
just
only to a point.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's other things that make up for it. Sometimes that's always the thing I always think about. Yeah, it's like things that can kill you, plants that can kill you. You know, there's literally like a tree or whatever out there that has thorns on it, like way out in the outback or whatever, that if you get like pricked by it, you literally have like 12 minutes to live. That's it. And you're so far back out there, there's no cure or anything. You're just dead.
Wow.
Because you bumped into this tree and you got a little splinter.
Jeez, I'm gonna have to look that up. That's terrible.
Yeah. So there's some gnarly things out there, you know. But it's weird for the fact that like you think of Australia being kind of like the badass country that it is, and it's the fact that like nowadays it just
super tourist destination.
Yeah, you go to Bondi. I always want to go to Bondi Beach just to go work out, but
I want to go to the I already forgot what the heck the Highlands of. I already forgot what they're called, but it's someplace I just want to ride a motorcycle through.
There you go. Yeah. It's
in the southeastern part of the country. There's some mountains. Yeah, but anyway, the Melbourne, I think it's somewhere east of Melbourne. If I was out there, I'd probably try to just ride motorcycles and that'd be it. I mean,
yeah,
it's a huge country / continent that's just full of land.
Yeah, there's all sorts of that kind of stuff out there. I feel like you get that for days, you know. It'd probably be great to go there and everything like that. But yeah, as I said, I always feel bad for Australians for the fact that like, God, I just always see that. It's just like I see that so many times where it's just like, oh, this version's either censored or banned or all this kind of stuff. Like, dude, banning it. It's like, come on, like. It's a video game. It's a movie. Like, what the hell? You know? That's probably also partially because if I had to guess, the whole reason of that Encore edition, I bet you they did say it sort of came from Paramount, but I'm almost thinking it was probably like Australia kind of mixed with Hollywood kind of did that kind of.
Man, can't be any worse than China.
Yeah, exactly. You know, except for China, you can practically buy everything there because nobody cares about copyright.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the difference, you know. So you get that bonus, but no, Crocodile Dundee though, it's like it's always just such a fun, good movie. It's like these like best examples of those kind of films that like you can just kind of throw on, and your day's just gonna be better from this point forward.
Oh yeah. Oh, my wife and I were laughing the whole time. The whole time that movie was playing, we're laughing and never zoned out. Never got up to make a cup of coffee or whatever. It was.
Did you do some coke? You know, yeah, like that guy in the movie.
Do some coke, grab a tranny's dick.
Yeah, give it the old pat.
Man. But yeah, no, fantastic movie, man. I look forward to the second one.
Yeah,
like I said, I haven't seen that. Like I was saying earlier, the first one I ever saw. Because people would talk about, and of course, when that movie came out, I think it was like 2001, the Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, the third one? Yeah, no, that was a big deal because that was like the big comeback, you know? And the fact that was like, because a lot of times movies will have a kind of a comeback, like, you know, years later. And that one's only strangely, it's like 12 years later, I think, past the second one, you know? But
yeah.
It still worked because sometimes when movies wait a little too long, we've seen this with some comedies, it's like they're 20 years later, and it's like, well, it's not bad, but it's kind of 20 years too late, and something's kind of uncanny and off about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the 2001.
Yeah, Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles or whatever.
The heck was I'm looking for the date. Oh, there it is, April. So I was actually 10 years old when that came out. And I remember seeing a preview for it and just thinking like that it looked silly and funny, and I wanted to watch it. I had no idea who that guy was, and I had heard people like my mother or my mom's sister. They would say things about like the crocodile Crocodile Dundee or Crocodile Man or whatever. And I thought they were always talking about Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
Because I was always watching him on TV, like fucking around with alligators and other animals and stuff. See, I always thought that guy was so goofy and silly. And, God rest his soul. That dude was really cool too.
Yeah. I like that show.
Totally different kind of crocodile hunter. No. And when I saw that, I can't remember if I saw it on TV or in the movies or not, the Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. But I thought it was hilarious. And then, of course, I didn't watch the first one until years later. And I'm like, oh, this is quite a different film. But, yeah, no, nothing beats that first one.
Yeah, no, the first one's super fun. I like all three of them, but like, yeah, definitely this one of those. It's like they almost don't really make these like good feel good kind of movies like they used to, where they're just fun. Everybody's having a good time. I think about that with so many movies that come out anymore. It's like so many times it's like they always got to do that like dark drama thing with so many elements in it. Not saying that can't be funny, but like it's one of those ones. Like I think of a lot of things like where they can't just have fun with like a topic anymore. And I'm not saying there is movies that exist that
everything's got to be a big deal.
Do that, but like they're just way more fewer and far between. And we're like, it felt like, especially in about the mix of like about mid 80s to like early 90s is a great time period of a lot of those kind of movies where, like I think like things like Twins and Captain Ron, and Overboard and all that kind of stuff. Like there's just a lot of these fun movies where you just feel good watching it. You have a great time. You walk away being like, man, that's the life I want to have. I want to be like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I mean, we're like nowadays they would make Crocodile and it'd be like, well, he's tragic, he's all alone, he's out there, there'd be some scene where he's like beaten off into like the fucking lake or something like that from a distant shot, like he. Yeah, they just have to make it just like it's so dark and his tragedy of his wife that left him, that he brings up at one point.
I love what Dundee said about his first wife in the beginning of the movie too. You're like, oh, you ever married? And I was married once. Went on a walkabout, came home, she was gone. And how long were you gone? Oh, a few months. He's like, try 18 months.
Yeah. It was right, because Crocodile Dundee does have this kind of goofball friend that's like the original one that kind of leads
Wally.
Sue. Yeah, Wally and whatnot like that. And he's kind of, he almost like Crocodile Dundee's handler, he picks him up, he takes him places, he takes his phone calls,
Yeah. And of course he's one of the guys that's totally talking him up too and exaggerating in the story about the crocodile like crazy. And then of course, I don't know if she was the bar owner or what that comes over. She's like, oh yeah, like that story gets longer every time you tell it,
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a heck of a film. I think that's a film that everyone ought to watch. It's almost like it gives me Mel Brooks vibes, but without being super
Slapstick.
inappropriate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, without the immense slapstick too. But I mean, I guess I just I clearly I'm not offended by Mel Brooks films, but no, like it's like you said, fun. I just reminded myself of what you were talking about that. I think the French filmmaker was talking about like, oh, you can't do, or it's not fun to do terrorist and stuff anymore. Or whatever. Was that ever fun?
James Cameron for True Lies? He's like, where he's like, past 9/11, terrorism isn't fun anymore. And I always feel like, James, when was terrorism fun?
Yeah.
So that's why we don't. Well, it sounds weird that like I think of 2001 9/11. That's like the biggest moment that has like a radical shift on movie making. Now, granted, there's other radical shifts in movie making too, because you can say the Vietnam War, when that starts, that actually radically changes cinema like hardcore as well too. Know, but
gosh, that's another thing. Things that 9/11 changed. Every time we watch a movie that takes place in like early 90s or 80s, whatever, and you see people in the airport, I'm so envious because that was when there was no airport security.
Yep.
You just got your tickets and walked to the terminal.
When I was a kid, I walked on the plane with a knife in my bag, and they set the buzzers off, but they couldn't figure out what it was when they started pulling my bag apart at 6 years old.
That's funny.
I literally had it. They're like pulling stuff out of my bag, like Scooby-Doo coloring book, wishbone, stuffed animal, all this stuff, and then I walked on through, and they didn't get deep enough in the bag to find that I had a pocket knife in there. So I learned really quickly that I could smuggle things on.
Jeez, that's hilarious. See, I would have that would have been a thing where I just forgot I had it.
Yeah.
And
I just didn't think as a kid, it's like, when you kind of get stuff when you're like that young, you cherish it. So it's like, I got my pocket knife, I got my coloring book, I got my stuffed animal that I really like. It's like all these things are my core things.
Yeah, I can't just leave this at home. Are you crazy?
No, you're crazy. I might be stranded. This might be where the rest of my life is lived out here at sea now.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. My wife's going to Brazil here in a couple weeks. And I'm staying behind, and like I kind of feel bad for her. I kind of don't, and the only reason why is just because I know how much of a pain in the butt it is to go through all that, and then to do it international is even worse.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I'm like, I kind of want to be there for you, but then again, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I'm not doing it. But
dodging a bullet, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it sucks so bad. It's just like when we brought our cat home from Brazil. That was the worst. That was the worst. Part of it was the airport security themselves, like in Houston, terrible. The worst, and this didn't really even have anything to do with the cat. It was the worst transition back into the U.S. going through customs I've ever had. And I've come back into the States from out of country like 5-6 times. And like we go through... Mind you, this cat has been in a carrier for like 15 hours at this point.
Yeah.
Like took him out to hold him for a couple of minutes and then put him back in, But I mean, this cat, put him in the carrier to walk to the cab, in the cab for half an hour, in the airport for an hour and a half, get on the plane.
Has no idea what's going
25 minutes to take off, get in the air. We're in the air for 12, 13 hours. Wait on the taxiway to get off for 20 minutes, maybe, I don't know. And then maybe a little less, excuse me. And then, of course, go through the airport, go through, get our baggage, go through security again. And, so I'm like, this poor freaking cat. And then it was my poor freaking wife, because we had to go through the scanners, right? And our carriers mesh, completely mesh. And you can see all through it because it's almost paper thin. And but we still had to put it in a bin to have it go through the x-ray. And then as it's coming out the x-ray thing, the flaps catch on it, make it flip over. So they're like, we're going to have to run that again. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. Why do we have to run this again? And, of course, like, sir, calm down. I'm fucking kidding me. And so my wife, she doesn't have a hoodie on because it's still in the crap, whatever, and she's holding on to him, and he's just like, and then like they're taking forever to look at the thing, and finally I'm like, sir, can you just take a look at her? Like, can we have our cat carrier back, please, for God's sake? And he's like, oh yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, come on, it was so dumb. And but it took forever. And and then of course we had to get a connecting flight back to Casey. And so
go through it all over again.
A few more hours, and then into another car for an hour to get home. And I don't think we were both so happy to just get that cat out of the carrier and into the house. Holy crap. And I told I'm like, I am never doing that again. I am never flying with a pet. Like, unless it's the last time we're doing it ever, like never coming back to where we came from, sure. But I'm like, oh, but yeah. Anyway, that scene in the beginning, I told my wife, I'm like, God, if there was something I'd love to go back in time for, is to go to an airport
where you could take your giant knife on board and no one questions it.
Yeah. Oh, that was the thing. That was another thing too. The scene where they take off and Paul Hogan is, in the seat. It's like, Holy shit. I can only imagine what that'd be like for a dude who's never even been to a city, getting on a jet and just taking off. That's like how she was when she first got on the plane. Actually, she doesn't like flying at all. So she gets on there and she's just like, but yeah, no, it was all the nostalgia, especially for things that I shouldn't have nostalgia for anyway, because I never experienced it.
Yeah, well, it's like the very first scene in this movie in Crocodile Dundee too. You also get the Twin Towers like right off the bat.
Yep.
You know, big glorious shot of that, because that was always how you'd show New York almost more.
It's always odd seeing television shows and movies that you get that shot, that iconic shot. It wasn't that in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man as well, but then they cut it because
because in the original trailer, Spider-Man swings by the Twin Towers, and and then it literally 9/11 happened before that movie came out. So,
man.
And that's why a hero to save us. Chad Kroger's got his 9/11 song that's used for Spider-Man instead.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, it was a big deal one, but yeah, that is kind of the thing. Is like sometimes you have those moments that that rock the movie industry, and sometimes they never properly recover from certain things.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's always changes with decades and so on like that, no matter what, but like. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love. There's a lot of 2000s movies I like. I'm never saying anything against 2000s movies, but that is just the era where like things get a lot more grounded in reality. The comedy kind of goes out the window unless it is a straight up comedy.
Yeah.
And
even
things
then, a lot of them went downhill anyway. Everything became sex jokes and just consistent profanity. It's like if it didn't have 3 different dick jokes every 5 minutes and F-bombs, to coincide, it's like, is it even a comedy?
Yeah. Well, that's the era of the unrated, where everybody's movie's got to be more raunchier than the next, and so on like that. Where it's like one of those ones where it's like American Pie was almost like the one that was really kind of dialed in a sense, in that like it balanced that pretty darn well. Same with even the second one, but as movies kind of go,
I think does it right too.
Yeah, well, because that's what I mean. There's a lot of really good comedies, right? That like late '90s, early 2000s, with like Super Troopers, even going up to like Grandma's Boy and all that stuff in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, like I think that movie rode the cusp, but was still like so clever, and the timing was just good. Because that's also a point where, funny enough, gaming had become so huge. Like with the introduction of the Xbox, the PS2, games like Halo being might have been one of the first huge. Well, I don't know about first, but it was such a huge success with multiplayer, and so like Grandma's Boy, I think came out around the same time as the original Halo, maybe.
No, because Grandma's Boy is like 2006, so it's almost right before 3.
Oh, okay.
It's still Xbox original era, so maybe Halo 2 in a sense is the stuff they use, but
that's right. But yeah, I mean, that was huge back then too, because it was. It just was, like I said, the timing was right for what that movie was, and just, I don't know. I thought it was great. My wife hasn't seen that, so I think we're going to watch that here in a few days.
Yeah, I watched it again not that long ago. It still holds up pretty darn well. I remember the main reason I went to go see that movie is because we went to go see Hostel in cinemas, and like Sonora or whatever didn't play Hostel. So I was like, well, this Grandma's Boy one looks interesting. And then like went to go see that instead. So and I was like,
that reminds me of another movie that I don't know why people didn't like it that much. Was Pixels.
I saw that one.
I didn't watch that for the longest time because I got bad reviews, and which I have tried to ignore a lot of reviews as of late, because every time I watch a movie that gets terrible reviews, I end up usually thinking it's pretty decent.
And mostly it's the other way around. If a movie gets really good reviews, sometimes they're kind of crap.
Exactly. And I mean, not that every single movie that gets bad reviews is good. I mean, obviously there's some movies out there that are bad and they have bad reviews, but I'm just saying, like, that movie got bad reviews. We watched it one night when we were in Brazil last time. We both thought it was fun as crap.
It's fun.
It was a super fun, hilarious movie. I think that's my favorite role by Peter Dinklage.
Well, that's also that era though, where like people just were like anti Adam Sandler, because Adam Sandler had like a bad run for like a decade.
Yeah, he did have a few movies that were not very good.
Because it's just like there was a period where people just like it was like if Adam Sandler came out a new movie, nobody was even going to give it a chance. But there's actually some really good ones in that. Like there's another Adam Sandler movie, like it's called That's My Boy, that's around that same time period, where it's literally Adam Sandler doing like the 90s kind of goofy character thing, but it's a rated R movie. And it's like, I think it's really fucking good. Like it's probably one of Adam Sandler's like best ones of his modern kind of era. But like once again, it came out that era where nobody was giving Adam Sandler the chance, so it just like got bypassed. And ironically, it turns out he's the guy who actually makes the most amount of money for Netflix.
No surprise. One of the weirder ones that I've seen from him, it's an older one. I don't want to call it a bad movie. It's just kind of weird. Punch Drunk Love.
Oh yeah, that's a Paul Thomas Anderson one. So that one's more like a drama in a sense.
Yeah, that's an odd one.
Yeah.
Interesting flick, kind of funny in a dark way, but different for sure. And then the other one that I was thinking of that is not a comedy, but I think it's a great movie is Spanglish.
Yeah.
For more reasons than one. I had like the cinematography in that movie is very pleasant. But anyway. Anyway, Crocodile Dundee's an awesome.
Yeah. Crocodile Dundee's badass. Yeah, you can go still watch it on Amazon Prime. You gotta rent it nowadays. For some reason, it's not streaming anywhere. But at least it's uncensored, uncut, the way it's supposed to be. Actually, apparently, there's in Australia, there's like a 10-minute longer version of Crocodile Dundee that I cannot find to save my life for how to watch it in the U.S., you know. But so apparently what it was is they just had a little bit more Australian footage, and then they have more Australian slang in there that they thought nobody outside of Australia was going to get. So that's the only reason they took it out.
I see.
But I want to see that version.
I wonder if you could find that on eBay.
I tried. Well, you could probably buy an Australian one. That you just need an all-region DVD player because Australia has like a weird region code. I want to say it's like region 6 or something. It might be the same thing as England, but I don't think it's the same. I think it's actually has its own.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, I tried looking to see if that popped up on Internet Archive or YouTube or anything like that, but no, they got it pretty locked down. So, yeah, you probably have to go out and just buy a straight up Australian DVD or VHS even, I guess, and go from there, and then make sure you have the right player. But yeah, I like to see. I love the idea of you throw any extra minutes into a movie, I'm there. You start cutting stuff, I get bummed out.
Most of the time when things are cut, it's usually for time.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just like the Lord of the Rings films. After I watched the extended versions, I was like, I don't want to watch the normal ones ever again.
No, yeah. Well, to me, it's like for the most part,
there's so much context that is missed, in those theatrical releases.
Yeah, they give so much extra story and all that kind of stuff. I will say there is like a time because I remember like Terminator 2 was one of those ones that like I had it first like the regular taped off TV version, and then I had like the special edition VHS, and I had the super special edition DVD. So for the longest time, that was the only version I watched was the really long, extra extended cut one. And then when they brought Terminator 2 back to cinemas, they brought back the theatrical cut. And I was like, oh, man, that's kind of a bummer, and like that. But then I remember watching it, and I will say, like, I had a great appreciation for the theatrical cut. Even though, don't get me wrong, I love all the extra scenes and all that stuff, the one thing I did notice about the theatrical cut of, like, say, that movie Terminator 2 is that the pacing was amazing in the theatrical cut version. Like, because it's just going straight forward. There's not really a lull. Where like in the extended one, there's all these cool little extra scenes and so on like that. Yeah, you don't think much of it. You're just cool because it's extra stuff, adds to the story, adds to the characters and all that kind of stuff. But you do kind of realize that the pacing kind of like dips because of those extra scenes. So there is something to be said about a theatrical version. I just don't want a censored version.
No, sure.
That's just offensive.
I think maybe the only guy who didn't quite get it right with which version was going to be the best has got to be George Lucas with the original Star Wars trilogy, or the original Star Wars.
Yeah, but he keeps wanting to add stuff in there.
How many weird edits that kept going on and on and on? It's like, dude, just make up your mind, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get it. You want to add some more things in there. And at the end of the day, I just go back and I watch the original versions. I got nothing against the special edition ones, but there is something kind of nice about the straight up original ones that they feel more authentic. You
Yeah.
know. So I got a nice set on Blu-ray that I bought from like one of those like bootleg sites that has like all like film reel versions of like the original
wow.
3. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
yeah, it's kind of nice to
I've
have.
never
Just
watched the original Star Wars where like Jabba the Hutt's a dude. He's not a slug.
Oh well, that's more like the like that's not technically in any of the original versions. That's like when they were initially shooting it and planning to do that, and then they kind of went, never mind, we're not doing this.
You sure?
Yeah, because that one where it's the dude was like, because they were gonna try to put that in there and so on like that initially, and then they just kind of cut it, and that's why you see the CG version later on is because George wanted to have that scene in there, and they thought they were gonna find a way to do it back in the day, but it's not like it wasn't in the original theatrical cut or anything like that. If that's what you're wondering.
I see.
So yeah. You know, the weird thing is officially the last time they released that theatrical cut was on the DVD sets that came out in like 2004 or whatever, which is the weird. And they're not even that great of versions. They're almost like, I think they're straight up Laserdisc versions that like aren't even formatted for widescreen or anything like that. If you're watching on your 24-inch CRT TV, you would never notice it. But the second you try to watch on anything else, forget about it. So I'm glad at least there's some other variations you can kind of get of them. But
yeah,
But yeah, Crocodile Dundee, we're definitely going to jump into 2 and 3 probably as this goes down. We'll intermix that with our Rambo set, you know, because we realized there was an extended cut of Rambo 4, and we decided that's the way you have to watch it. There's going to be more blood, guts, and violence, and an extra 10 minutes. I want to see all that glory in
That's right.
there. And, of course, the only way to get it's on Blu-ray, so we had to go out and order them. So, I kind of forgot that. Yeah, so until then, we're gonna go back and forth between some Crocodile Dundee and some Rambo. You know, a good mix of fun. But beyond all that good stuff, you can always check out all the other Old Man Orange podcasts at YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes,
and I'm Dave Candido. Let's put another podcast on the Bobby.
Speaking of which, did you see that commercial that I sent you? The one where I did. Yeah, where Paul Hogan pretty much is showing off like, come to Australia and see the whole tour. Come to we got beaches, we got barbecues, we got all these things you're gonna want. You know, it's Australia. I love that. I thought that was funny. That, and then there was the Subaru commercials. I remember I ran across those afterwards. So I'm like, dude, I remember when these came out.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's all good.
But yeah, there we go. So more good times ahead. Till then, take care, and we are out of here.